Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Tower of God Chapter 388 or Season 2 Episode 308. Um, so this one, I don't know if a lot of people are going to hate me for this, but this is probably going to be the lowest score I've ever given a Tower of God chapter. Not that the score means that much. But there are definitely some scenes I liked and some things, some concepts really, that I liked for the future. But when it came to this actual chapter itself, I guess not a ton happened, you could say. And most of the stuff that happened was just sort of necessary, meh, whatever. Like, it was just necessary stuff to get us from one point to another. But there were a few things that I kept trying to think, well, maybe it means this, or maybe it's okay because of this. I kept trying to justify it to myself, but just a lot of things that, after a while of trying to justify it, I was like, you know, it's just objectively bad writing. So I'll start from the beginning on this with stuff I liked at the beginning. Power Zahard brings up that he seeks to place fate under his control. So it's kind of like he's been on this progression. He's like gotten more powerful, king of the tower. Now he's like, I want to place fate under my control. So he then takes the Fitbit, and in general it was a great scene where he's like, you don't know what this boy is. I don't know what he is either, really. And you're probably going to regret what you just did talking to his data self. Then we see Andrassi's group exiting. Another thing I really liked, one of my favorite things for the chapter, I think, was Andrassi's development with her seemingly being really bothered that other people got to have a little bit of resolution with their sworn enemies, but with hers, she never got to confront her problems. She never got to face her problems head on. She just stayed quiet and went with the flow and never really came to terms with what happened to her family or anything. She's still just hiding that deep down, whereas everyone else has got a little bit of resolution going on. So, I liked that. I liked that she seemed bothered by not confronting her sworn enemy. Then we see Haku, Boro, and Sachi leaving, and then we have I can't find any excusable reason for it or anything, just the absolute bullshit ass pull of Bottas' story ending and Yuan Sung and everything, of with no development or hinting towards it whatsoever, just saying, oh, hey, I knew this all along, that everything was fake and that we were fake, and now we're dying, but it was okay because it felt good together, it felt like it was real when we were together, and it was it felt good together when it felt good and it felt real when we were together or whatever. Okay, that's cheesy or whatever. But just the no development for anybody ass pull of, oh yeah, we knew all along, none of this was real, none of it meant anything, oh well. And kind of far-reaching effects of that means that none of the stuff, when we were having chapters of this story of Bottas and Yuan Sung and Rose and all that, in the end, none of that tied around to any main character, none of it even really tied around to side characters anymore, none of it mattered at all. The story would be the same completely without it. It's kind of the very definition of filler. It's just, I don't feel like it's that hard to give side characters something, to do some kind of development, or if you're going to have an arc, don't just forget plot points. It happened in Name Hunt Station, it happened a ton in Floor of Death, where we were introduced to characters, we were introduced to plot points, and then we just moved on. Completely forgot them. I'm pretty much 100% certain we're never going to see or hear anything about it again. It was just come and go, forget the plot points, none of it mattered. And it makes the arcs, and we've discussed this, but it makes the arcs seem even more insignificant. Where we've talked a bit about how tests don't feel important anymore, arcs don't feel important, it's all just Bomb's main story. And this was a real problem with it. This and some more stuff, really. Haku's group, though, said they want to meet the real Yuan Sung because he has so many secrets or whatever. It just would have been nice to see that actually developed. And it would have been nice for the Bottas story to actually mean anything. But, yeah, that was kind of a horrible, just a terrible way to end that. Hell, it might have even been better if they just deleted Bottas and Yuan Sung and left us all wondering, what happened? Did they just, like, not give an ending to that? It might have been better to just not give an ending to that than to just pull something completely out of nowhere with no development and end it in a way that makes none of it mean anything. It's like if a character wakes up from a dream and doesn't learn anything from that dream, and none of the effects of the dream affected the story. That's why the whole "they were actually dreaming the whole time" trope doesn't really work, is because if it's not to teach the character a lesson, then all the development and stuff that happened in the dream means nothing, and it means nothing for any character other than the one having the dream anyway. So that's why that doesn't work. And this is kind of basically the same thing, is you're just ending a story without it meaning anything for anyone. So that was pretty bad. Then we have Rachel's team leaving. The Minazuki steals the Fitbit. We finally get somebody giving a name for it, calling it the treasure-eating stingray, is what I believe it was Data Zahard was referring to it as that. It might have been Power though. But Power knows that it is Gustang. They immediately realize it. We see Blue fading away, and again, this is more reminders that we never really got any completion for Blue's story. Jock, who was loyal to Zahard or whatever and had his avatar destroyed, and we saw the real body, and they're like, yeah, time to get involved in this. We never saw them again, and I doubt we're ever going to see them again. So basically, that entire storyline meant nothing. And not only did it mean nothing, it didn't have an ending whatsoever, not even trying, like a lot of the characters in Floor of Death where we were introduced to them, and they were hyped up like, oh, this is going to be cool, and then we just never saw them again. Or if we did see them, we never got an ending to whatever happened to them. So again, there's a lot of the problems that the Floor of Death had of just not having an ending for any of the side stories, and whether they have an ending or not, none of them meant anything. Just Bomb's little main story was the only thing that meant anything, really. And there were a couple things here and there, like with Kunai Guru Agnes or with Andrasi, but with the exception of those few things, most of the side stories just didn't matter whatsoever. And that's objectively bad writing. I can't really excuse it at all. Wangnan and Bomb then exit by Yuri and Karaka, and we cut over to new characters at an altar, and we find out that Zahard never leaves his palace, and he gives orders at altars. This is the oldest altar, and now some guy named Charlie, a ranker, has been recognized and is able to start working there. Don't know if that means he's part of the Royal Enforcement Division now, or what it means at all, but he's able to work at the altar to carry out Zahard's orders now. So, I gotta say though, I didn't say it in the live reaction, but I thought about it as I was rereading, and I talked about it in the Haku. I hate Charlie's design. I really don't like it. There is too much going on, and all of it clashes, and all of it looks really bad. Charlie just has a really ugly design. It is, like, really not good looking. And we learn something that's my favorite thing, that probably my favorite thing that comes out of this chapter, other than Rachel probably getting the Fitbit, is that Zahard always gives 3 orders for his servants to choose from. And this, I love, is kind of his way of controlling fate, placing fate under his control, and making it seem like his servants have choice. You get 3 orders, you only have to complete 1 of them and the other 2 disappear. But this new order that comes through is that they have to kill one of these 3 groups, either FUG, everyone on the Hell Train, or the Popadal family. So that's completely insane. Now we're going to have Zahard's servants, presumably the princesses, Royal Enforcement Division, whatever, going after, like, very strongly going after either FUG, everyone on the Hell Train, which seems to be the easiest of the 3, but maybe the most morally questionable of the 3, or the Popadal family. So there is some insanity that's going to go on as they try to figure out which one they can or should actually complete. Then not too much in the blog that was that important. So you said that the Excalibur is what let everyone escape, which is confusing, and you don't really get that from the actual story, so it's kind of weird. Almost a little ass-pullish again. People have brought up about the Excalibur in general, so that's kind of weird that it was what helped them escape. I thought that they were just able to escape once the place started falling apart, but okay. So I guess that it doesn't make sense, to be honest. I can't think of a way it makes sense, but apparently that's what happened. Also, he says that the bracelet's going to cause the next story, which is really cool, because of course, Of course, Rachel's going to have it now, so we're going to see if Popet Augustine tries to just collect it from her, if she's going to use it to try to get the second Thorn Fragment, if Bomb can even give up the second Thorn Fragment. There's a lot to learn there. And then some general thoughts on the chapter itself. I think the order system is really, really cool. That's one of my favorite things coming out of the chapter. And so was the Andraste development. I really like that. And I love Rachel getting the Fitbit because it is just such an evil move, because she just didn't do anything but make stupid plans and then gets the Fitbit handed to her because of the Minazuki. And, oh man, I just love how evil and frustrating it is. It's so great. But I gotta say, I have to face it, the Bata stuff took up it was like a quarter or maybe even a third of the chapter, and it was objectively really, really bad. And also just not finishing all these side stories, what you don't show being as important as what you do show, not finishing all those stories and just saying, oh well, forget them, is just really bad as well. It's objectively bad, and I can't really make any excuses to try to make up for it. So yeah, I love Tower of God, but just this Floor of Death, there's been some good stuff, and I think in general there's been a lot more good here than there was in any of Floor of Death after Bomb's passed. But yeah, there's been a lot more good here than in Floor of Death, but there's just so many problems that I said last week I think come from CU just being rushed and not having time or being allowed to explore side stories or make anything feel important. But I can't make excuses for bad writing. I can't just pretend it's good when we're getting no development for anything on the side, or no development for why an arc should be important or why a test should be important. None of the arcs or tests have been important in a long time. Well, at least since arguably the Name Hunt Station. And that wasn't really because of a test or anything, that was because of Bomb and Kaiser's storyline. So it's been a good few long arcs, maybe even nearly a year, since things have been really, really fully good. Instead, things have been Tower of God good, but with this lingering background of everything in the background doesn't mean anything, and anything we see with side characters isn't going to mean anything. So yeah, we've had a lot of problems lately, I feel like. And as a score, I'd give it 4.5 orders out of 10. I just can't make excuses for it. The stuff with Batis was really, really bad, and that was a big chunk of the chapter. So yeah, I guess it's one of those things where everyone's human, and nobody is perfect all the time or anything. We get a lot of good stories. We were bound eventually, after 300 some chapters, nearly 400, we were bound to eventually have a bad storyline, and we got it. We finally got it with all this background stuff in the past 2 arcs. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm happy and excited about some stuff, but I'm really disappointed about other stuff. So I guess that's it. It sucks to have a negative review, though, or to end a review negatively. Really sucks. So, sorry about that. If you don't like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of the chapter, what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. If you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us there, then just ask and I'll give you a link to that. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.